It was actually the day before Thanksgiving. She started having some difficulties breathing. It was very painful for me to touch her almost. Went to the doctor's office, and as soon as we got there, then the nurse kind of looked a little funny at Riley and took a few moments and was like, I think we need to call an ambulance. Of course, I panicked because there was no information given to me other than I think that we need to call an ambulance. Her entire right lung was surrounded by fluid, and the left lung was starting to be surrounded by fluid as well. They informed that she was going to be airlifted over to Rocky Mountain Hospital for Children. We couldn't ride in the helicopter with her. We had to drive separately, which was obviously terrifying. It just all moved so quickly. It was actually on Thanksgiving Day that we had the doctor come in and inform that it was stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, that she had a softball-sized tumor in her chest. So very much I had to take things very one at a time. Okay, what are we doing right now? That's about all I can handle. As soon as we did receive her diagnosis and we knew how much we were gonna have to be in the hospital, we knew one of us had to quit work. So it was just easier for me to stop working, but obviously that adds a whole nother element of stress to the situation. When you first get the diagnosis, you just are very focused on that element, and you don't realize we have one parent working, I'm at home, I still need to be able to go grocery shopping. However, I have, Riley, who's not safe to go out in public. It's a huge risk to her health. We were assigned a caseworker at the hospital. They told us that there was a program called Therewithcare who sent us groceries bi-weekly, not only just groceries. I mean, there was fresh produce, there's cleaning supplies, there was gas gift cards, sometimes gifts for Riley, sometimes gifts for me and her father, and it just, it helped immensely. I can't explain to you how much of a difference it has made. It seems small, but in the situation that we're in, it's huge. We're in this world of very much being isolated, stuck at home all the time, and they care so much about what we're going through and trying to help us. Just to have such kindness from strangers is just amazing, absolutely amazing.
My son, Tony, had been complaining of pain in his leg. When we took Tony to urgent care, they misdiagnosed him with Osgood-Schlatter's disease. A few weeks later, he wasn't getting better, and over a weekend, he had a tumor blow up on his left tibia, right below his kneecap. And we went to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician looked at him and said, "This is most definitely not Osgood-Schlatter's. I need you to be seen at Children's immediately." They took an x-ray and they pulled us aside and they told us that he had osteosarcoma. They placed his port immediately on that same day. Each round of chemo is anywhere from a 3 to 7 days stay, and then each time you have to recover from the chemos, and your counts have to be high enough in order for you to start the next round of chemo. With this option, he's allowed to play full contact sports. He can run, he can jump, he can play, he can do everything a normal kid would want to do. They take the bottom part of his tibia and his ankle and foot and they rotate it 180 degrees and reattach it to his top femur. His foot now fits into the prosthetic and essentially functions as a knee joint. He is a triplet. Emma and Nicholas are his other siblings in the triplet group. The bond that the triplets have has been just so overwhelming. They just always want to be with him. They worry for him a lot. They worry if he's going to make it. When he was first diagnosed, they estimate it to be about a 30-week treatment plan. We are now coming up on a year, so that's almost 52 weeks that we've been doing this. I don't sleep much. I'm okay. One day at a time, sometimes 5 minutes at a time. Some people want to help right at the beginning, and it's overwhelming because at the beginning, you're just trying to navigate what's happening to your child and what's happening to your family. People you would expect to be there aren't there. So with therewithcare, it's nice because every week or every other week, someone calls and says, you know, how are you doing? And to see if we need groceries. A lot of times we're so busy taking care of Tony and running around that we forget some of the main essential staples that we need. We receive the snack bags, which are great because when I have the siblings with me too, it's helpful to have little snacks for the other kiddos to eat. They helped with gas cards, having to drive back and forth to the hospital. We go probably 2 to 3 times a week. Dad comes back and forth too to visit us and to bring his siblings because they miss their brother terribly when he's there. It's nice to have someone every couple of weeks check in. Makes a huge difference. It's very helpful. My hope for Tony is to beat his cancer and be able to move forward and be the race car driver that he wants to be.
Started with red dots on my legs. It was really weird and we didn't know what it was. And so my mom took me to the hospital. They were kind of confused. Then they took more tests and came back and said, you have leukemia.
Yeah. And that there'd be an ambulance arriving to take us, transport us down to Children's. And that they would answer all our questions there. She went directly under surgery to get her port placed in. And then we found out it wasn't just leukemia, it was a rare form of leukemia. She just said Ani has Philadelphia Chromosome, and it complicates things. 2.5 years ago. Don't Google it. That I remember her saying very distinctly, not to go home and Google her diagnosis. Sharing it with my older kids from a hospital room by phone was really hard. I had to say it out loud for the first time. Well, I just yelled out, you know, she's got cancer.
There's a higher chance of getting it back. That's scary to think about.
We had a rough start to her diagnosis. People were telling us, doctors and specialists were telling us that she'd be right back to school. This wouldn't be too much of a inconvenience in our family, and she'd be right back to school in a couple of weeks and things would go back to semi-normal with a lot of doctor appointments. And that was not at all what we encountered. Lots of complications, lots of hospital stays. One was 48 days, and that was really rough to see her that sick.
I just would kind of lay there because there wasn't really, like I couldn't sit up, I couldn't breathe right or swallow right. And my mom would lay with me, and that's just kind of what we did.
But no school. We tried going to school. We made it the first day and the last day of 8th grade.
All of middle school, basically. If I'm in a bad mood, I put on something I know that makes me feel good. That has played a big role in, like, at least getting dressed in the morning. And my dog. So she showed up and made everything better.
I think we both recognized pretty quickly with how close she's been to not being here that despite anybody else's opinion, that we could have those conversations. And so we stay up late, really late. But I think that's when we watch the best movies or have the best talks. Even if it was bad, even if it was, what if I don't make it, to what if I do make it, you know, what's that going to look like? Many occasions there wasn't time between hospital stays, and we would curl up in bed in our mattresses on the floor and cry, and then kind of, I guess get through that emotion by laughing, and I'd say, where's all that help, that food? Aren't people supposed to be bringing us food about now? Like, the first time we had food delivered, it was household cleaning supplies and soaps and lotion, stuff I didn't have the time to go shop for, you know, and we were just kind of making do without. It came with care packages too, a little gift for Ani and a little gift for me. It's those little things that, you know, you just wonder where that extra hand is going to come from. To get fresh items and food and have it continuously just coming in was such a gift.
I think it just helped us not feel alone.
I only have 2 arms, and they only stretch so far. I think it's important for any family going through this to know that there's an extended arm, and it's important. It's just really important.